Hi there, thank you for following the link to this film. We've put the film together because we are introducing some changes to our attendance policy, which we know that parents will be particularly interested in. And we just wanted to explain those changes because there is a huge amount of information that is new and is informed by the new Department for Education guidance that was released to schools during August 2024 relating to attendance. Attendance is a huge issue nationally in schools because post-pandemic the attendance in schools has reduced dramatically. Attitudes towards attendance in school have changed and schools are being held increasingly responsible for their attendance figures. As a result of that, we need to take action in schools and we're held to account by the Department for Education for this action that we take. So there are a number of things that I want to make you aware of that you can follow up and read more about if you're particularly interested to do so, but that are going to come into effect as of January 2025 at Fishbourne Primary School. The first document that has informed our decision making is this. It's called Working Together to Improve School Attendance. It was published in August 2024. You can find it on the Department for Education website. The second document that is equally important is a summary document, which is around the responsibilities and who has responsibility for what. So what parents have responsibility for, what schools have responsibility for, and in turn what the local authority and then the government have responsibility for. This was also released in August 2024. The total number of pages across these two documents is around 120 pages, and we have used this to inform our attendance policy, which is available on our website. You will see that it's a Bishop Luffer Learning Partnership policy. So it refers to all the primaries in the partnership, which at this moment in time are Fishbourne, Lavant and Rumbleswick, and we are all operating under the same policy, under the umbrella of Bishop Luffer Learning Partnership. But it's important that you understand that the changes relate to the guidance from the government and not from our partnership. The final document that I will talk about this morning is this, which is also available on our school website, and it is a request for absence form that you would have to fill in should you be requesting an opportunity to take your children out of school. Okay, so why attendance? Why so important? As I alluded to start off with, attendance nationally is really poor across schools. Attendance in school is really important, and we've talked about that lots before in our newsletters that come home to parents and in our termly letters updating you about your child's attendance. We know that there is evidence to prove that good attendance in school results in better well-being in our children, better outcomes and attainment for our children. We know that relationships in school are really important. Children's friendships, the relationships they have with staff, these are all really important things for our children. In terms of what good attendance looks like, the percentage that the government believe represents satisfactory attendance is anything above 95%. If attendance drops below 95%, over a school year, that is the same as missing 2 weeks of school, 10 days of school. If it drops below 90%, we're looking at attendance dropping by 4 weeks of learning. Those figures both represent concerns, and we will report to you on a termly basis what your children's attendance is. The first of those letters will come out fairly soon in the new year, just making you aware of what your child's attendance is. We recognise that days off add up quickly, especially during the autumn term, and it might be that your child's attendance is below 95%, and we're making you aware of that so that you can address that. Days off add up quickly. The big news for families at Fishbourne will be that all holidays, as they are currently, are unauthorised. The change for families at Fishbourne is that will then result if a child is absent for 10 or more sessions, which is the equivalent of 5 school days, they don't have to be consecutive days, a fixed penalty notice will be issued. There are a few things that I really need you to understand around that. The first of which is there is an expectation that schools give fixed penalty notices. This is not a decision that we are making as a school, but it is something that is required of us moving forward. When a fixed penalty notice is issued, the money that is sought from that does not come to the school. Okay, so that's really important for you to understand. You can read more about fixed penalty notices on page 20 of the policy. There's information there about the fact that a fine will be issued for each child who is taken out of school and to each parent. So those fines actually ramp up really quickly. If you're taking 2 children in your family out of school, you will be fined for both those children individually, and both parents will be fined. But you can read more about that on the website. The fines are issued by West Sussex. They're not issued directly by us, but we have to refer to West Sussex, who then take on the fine. That's the key piece of information, really. Having said that, we do have some families in school where children are absent a lot. If a child is poorly, genuinely poorly, then that absence will be authorised. Some of our families have a lot of absences that are related to being poorly, but that fall on a Friday, for example, every week. If we start to feel that there's a possibility that your child is not genuinely unwell, then those absences will become unauthorised absences. And the same thing will kick in. Once those 5 unauthorised absences have taken place, we will then issue the paperwork for a fixed penalty notice. We absolutely understand that children are poorly, and we really don't want children to come to school if they are poorly. So the guidance that we're giving is really clear. We understand that children get poorly, but we also see, because we monitor attendance really carefully, that some families have a pattern of absence that tends to attach itself to a weekend, either a Friday or a Monday or both, and then we start to expect or imagine that there's a possibility that that is not a genuine sickness absence. And if that is the case, we may ask for proof, or we may just say that it's unauthorised. If your child is poorly, please can we ask you to phone and leave a message on our absence line. Sarah in the office is amazing, but she spends a tremendous amount of time chasing families who haven't let us know that their child is poorly, and that's not a good use of our time. So there is an absence line. Please can we ask you to phone on the first day of your child's absence, but every day subsequently too, so that we're not having to chase you. We ask every family to provide a number of contacts. So we will always try the first contact, and if we don't hear anything, we'll leave a message and we'll wait for an hour, and if we don't hear from you, we'll try the second contact. If we're unable to raise a response from a family, then it may well trigger us making a referral to social care or to the police if we're concerned about your well-being or your welfare. And we do that because actually it's really important. If there could genuinely be a problem, and us alerting to say we're not able to get a response from a family, it's a really important part of how we safeguard our families. We do also recognise and acknowledge that some families have very genuine barriers to attending school. It might be a child is experiencing anxiety, or it might be that the family have got a problem with caring for their children that makes getting children to school really hard. And we really genuinely want to understand why, and we really want to be able to support you. It's important, if your family is experiencing barriers to attending school, that you let us know so that we are able to help and to support your family, that we work together in partnership to address attendance. It might be that we can signpost you to other professionals who are able to help you and support you to ensure that your child's attendance comes back into being a reasonable attendance in school. We have a number of families right now who we're aware of that whose attendance is below 95% and below 90%. And we will be making contact with you in the new year. For families where we are really concerned about attendance, we will be inviting you to come into school and to meet with us, either with me or with your class teacher, to put together a plan for how we're going to address that. There is an expectation now from the Department for Education that we are working with you to address attendance concerns, and so we really ask you to work with us. Our why is that we care deeply about your children. We want your children to do really well in school. But as our school motto suggests, there's only one you in this great big world. We recognise that everybody has different challenges. We genuinely want to be able to support you and your family to be able to attend school regularly, to ensure that your children make the very best progress and their well-being is taken care of to the very best of our ability. So please know that as this new attendance policy comes into action, that we are here to support you, to support your children, because we genuinely care about them and we want them to be as successful as possible. Sometimes when we come to talk about attendance, it creates big emotions in families, and we recognise that, but equally we can't ignore it, and we do need to be here to support and to challenge and to make sure your children are in school. I mentioned at the beginning a new form that is available on our website. So we have on our website there is an attendance page, and on the attendance page there's a copy of our policy, there's a link to the government advice and the requirements from families in relation to attending school. But there's also one of these forms that we're now asking families to complete. This is called a request for absence form from school. In the past we haven't had these because we've always said that holidays won't be authorised, and that continues to be the case. However, we now need to have a paper trail in place to show that families have requested and that we have declined, and as a result of that we ask families now please to fill in these forms. We'll have paper copies available in the office. You complete the form with the reason for the absence, and then we write back to you explaining what will happen next. This means that we have got a copy of it, and it means that we're able to show when we are challenged as a school what we're doing to tackle attendance, that these are the processes that we are following. Sometimes you may request an absence for a dental appointment or a hospital appointment, and we do ask wherever you can to book those sorts of appointments outside of school time, but we also absolutely recognise that isn't always possible. If you do have a dental appointment or a hospital appointment, we ask you to complete one of these forms as well, so that we can keep this on file, again as evidence that we are going through the processes that we need to in school to address absence. I think that's everything from us in relation to absence. This is sort of the tip of the iceberg, really. The fact that the policy is 27 pages long reflects the fact that there's a lot to understand, but these are the main changes that will impact on you. If you are thinking we're intending to book a holiday, then I refer you to the policy so that you understand that and you understand what will happen as a result of that. But I do really appeal to you to support us in supporting the school to be the very best school that it can be. I really ask you to think about whether a holiday in term time is necessary. We've shared before the impact that you taking your child on holiday during term time has on the rest of the class. And I know families find that hard to understand, but it really does impact on everybody else. When your child comes back to school, we have to catch them up on the learning that they have missed. We will not prepare packs of learning for you to take away on holiday with you. It's not fair to expect staff to do that on top of meeting the needs of the other 29 children in the class. So there are things that you're able to do in terms of following up with reading and keeping holiday diaries, etc., if that is what you choose to do, but we will not be preparing packs of work for you to take with you. If this film has created questions and that you've got things that you'd like to follow up or ask about, then please don't hesitate to contact us. We just thought it would be helpful as a first port of call to have a short film that supports you in understanding what the changes are. But we are really happy to talk things through face to face or on the telephone, so please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I appreciate there's a lot of information here, but thank you for engaging with us in these updates around attendance.